Hello and welcome, folks. Just testing a couple of things real quick before we get started. I think we are golden. For those of you who have seen me before on Twitch, hello again from a long hiatus. Last time I streamed was on December 2nd. I've done a couple of things on YouTube since then. So if you want, you can go take a look over there. But what are we doing today? I mentioned previously that I was going to start doing a Curse of Strahd game with solo Shadowdark. So what you can see on this table in this big mess are the things that I will be using to play that. First things first, thank you everybody for being here. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for spending your time with me. Now let's talk about Curse of Strahd, Solodark. These are the things I'm going to be using. Of course, the Shadowdark core rulebook. That's going to be the core rules that I will be using for my characters. I have my characters here, and if any of you followed my Shadowdark first campaign, you will recognize their names. I'll put a link to that in the Twitch chat, and also for those of you on YouTube, if you're watching this afterward, it will be in the description. What else do we have? We have the Shadowdark DM screen. The reason I'm using this one is because it has some quick rules for items, unique features of treasure, random encounters, all this good stuff. So we'll be using this guy. Just like my campaign 1, I will be removing the option for goblins and half-orcs as potential ancestries for people. I'm not a huge fan of playing monstrous races. Half-orcs kind of ride the line for me. Goblins are kind of a hard pass. But on top of all that, we will be in Barovia, as you can see in this map down here. It's a little bit diffused here, or washed out from the light. But this is Barovia, and Barovia is very insular, so there's not a lot of options as far as that goes. For our solo rules, we'll be using Solodark again, and I'll talk about a little bit why these rules. Well, yeah, Solodark, because I want to see how Solodark does with a longer sort of pre-written campaign, basically. I want to see how that works out. Solodark itself is a very rules-like kind of simple system. Very useful for just playing like a sort of hex crawl or dungeon crawl out of the rule books themselves, out of the Shadowdark core rulebook. But I wanted to see, kind of put it through its paces and see how it plays out with something like Curse of Strahd. So, Solodark will be our solo rules set. This here is my campaign notebook for the Solodark campaign 1. We'll just continue using this. There's a couple of things that I might have to reference back to in the old world, but this is where I'll be keeping the majority of my notes. I am setting up a digital notebook that will eventually be available for you guys if you want to go check it out. When it's ready, I will make that announcement. But for now, just know that I am working on it, and that way you guys can kind of see. I'm using the Valley Standard, if you've ever heard of that, as the kind of how the notes are taken, basically. and I'll post a link to that as well. And that's just basically like how to format notes for your solo campaign. You don't have to use it. I'm just playing around with it. I really like the idea. I will include a link, and that way you guys can find it. Now on to the Curse of Strahd part. I have this listed as one of the things that I will be pulling references from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. I think that I'm not exactly sure yet how much that I will be pulling from this, but there are some possibilities. There's a couple of NPCs in here that I really do enjoy, including the I think it's the Mayweather Foxglove Winds. These guys, Weather May Foxgrove. I apologize. Yeah, those few characters are quite compelling to me. Also, check out that art for werewolves. I'm a huge fan of like monstrous werewolves. Don't get me wrong, the old black and white films where they're kind of more human looking, fantastic films, but I like them kind of Van Helsing style, where they're just huge beasts. This brings us to Curse of Strahd itself. So we'll be playing this game. Oh, that glare. Pretty rough. Let me shut this down. You guys can let me know in the comments if you like seeing the shadow of my mic more than you like seeing the glare of the ring light. I'll figure that out. I'm not sure what to do. It's a very glossy cover. So, Curse of Strahd will be our adventure. Set this to the side, and I'll include a link to this as well on YouTube, but I am using Lich House's unofficial Curse of Strahd monster and item conversion. He put this together. It's basically every monster in Curse of Strahd. You can find it here on his blog, dreamsinthelichhouse.blogspot.com. You can also find him on YouTube at Lich House. So this is where I'm going to be pulling my stats from. Eventually, when it comes to NPCs, I will likely roll their stats and treat them as characters. I think that will be more interesting. But when it comes to like creatures like Animated Broom, we will go ahead and pull directly from this this document here. After a brief conversation with the Great Bradu on YouTube, I will be also including the Bard and Ranger classes from Shadowdark, or for Shadowdark, as options for character creation. So I'm not starting with a Bard or a Ranger, but I will include them as options as we go. I'm certain that people will, like, my characters will die, so we will include them as options. If you're familiar with previous games I've played, I have my yes/no oracle that I'll be referring to, and my little random encounter cards that we will also have available, and of course our Tarokka deck. The Tarokka deck's very important for Curse of Strahd. It kind of enhances some of its playability. So, what else do we got going on? I think that's pretty much it for the things that I will be using. Again, if you saw a lot, it's not a big deal. There's just a few things. The Tarokka deck itself, I'm going to modify with some rules so that we can use it in other circumstances. I want to be able to basically use it more often. Once I do use this for its purpose in Curse of Strahd, I'll probably shuffle the high deck into the low deck, and I'll probably use it for NPCs, or, you know, kind of get like a vibe off of a situation. So I'll be using this as a solo tool, and it will probably be pretty chaotic in the beginning, but I'll try to hammer out some rules for it, and we'll see how it goes. Now to introduce our heroes. Previously, our heroes were tasked with exploring the world map around their metropolis of Rularn. So this was the map that we eventually came up with. Our heroes kind of explored around, and they were getting experience points for doing so. And then we kind of increased the size of the ring as we were exploring to see what we could find. They ended up in these mountains, and that's when the mist of Ravenloft finally came in. And our heroes were dragged off into Barovia. Right now, our heroes are fresh, and they had just slept. And now they don't recognize the woods around them. And they did find a road that goes to, like, basically east and west. Our heroes are Marina, the human fighter. She's a level 1. We have Sidaros, our elf wizard, which is a level 3 at the moment. We have Dendor, our dwarf priest, who's level 2. And we have Astrid, a priest who is level 1. So these guys are our heroes that we will be playing with in our Curse of Strahd game. As always, feel free to comment, hop in, say hi to everybody, and let me know what you're liking, what you're not liking. If you've made it this far, please go ahead and hit the like button, follow, all that good stuff, and let's get started. I'm just going to go over here. I forgot that streaming is a little like a whole thing. Just want to click over to the stream and make sure that things are looking okay-ish. And, or rather, okay enough. All right. Twitch is telling me that I'm a little unstable. That's not anything that is surprising to anybody. After all, I'm sitting here talking to a microphone. All right, so let's begin. Now, Curse of Strahd. Let's see. Let's go ahead and set up our session notes. You can enjoy my bad handwriting here. Now, first things first, we're going to break out Curse of Strahd. And we need to set up our locations. One of the things it says to do is, and before sessions begin, is to do a card reading to decide where some of the artifacts are. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And move this a little bit. We can tuck this off to one side. Here we go. And let's see. So these are already shuffled. We'll just do a cut. Whoops. Double cut. And a triple cut. So, as we're grabbing the cards, we are going to take from the common deck, face down, and place cards 1, 2, and move this a little bit farther. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Set aside this. And now we take our high deck. We're going to cut it once, Cut it twice. And 3 times for good luck. And we'll place card number 4 and number 5. We'll set this to the side. Now, the Tome of Strahd is this card. So we have the Paladin. This card determines the location of the Tome of Strahd. We're going to go ahead and write down Tome equals Paladin 2 of Swords. And we'll look these up in just a moment. Now, for the holy symbol, we have the Necromancer, an 8 of Stars. So this is the holy symbol. Eight of Stars, Necromancer. I'm sure that bodes very well. For the Sun Sword, we have the Abjurer, 4 of Stars. Sun Sword equals Abjurer, 4 of Stars. Great. Flip this over to the next page. Strahd's Enemy is card number 4. Let's take a look. Strahd's Enemy is Mists. Interesting. Equals Mists. That's the crowns. Sure, that'll be totally fine in the future. And Strahd himself. Your enemy is a creature of darkness whose powers are beyond mortality. This card will lead you to him. Artifact. Strahd himself equals the artifact. All right, now let's look at treasure locations. The Tome was the 2 of Swords. The Paladin. So the Tome is in Sergei's tomb. The holy symbol is the 8 of Stars. The Necromancer. Ooh, there's a lot going on. It's in the Castle Ravenloft study. So 2 of the items are in Castle Ravenloft. Which, if you haven't played Curse of Strahd, that is the main villain's lair. So we're going to have a lot of trouble here. Which is great. We want to see our people in trouble. Alright, now the Sun Sword looks like the 4 of Stars, the Abjurer. The treasure lies in the beacon of Argynvost. I really should make sure that I write these down, these locations. Chapter 4, K37, Sergei's tomb, 2 of Swords, Chapter 4, Area K85. Now I'm doing this at the outset because there's always a possibility that our heroes will never meet Madame Eva, never have their Tarokka read. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm finding out where everything is, and this might eventually change. So let's see here. So this is treasure locations, Strahd's Enemy. We are looking for Mist. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. Strahd's enemy who will help us in our fight against Strahd is Esmeralda. That should have plenty of role-playing possibilities. You can be found in the Abbey of Saint Markovia. I can't stress this enough. This is just DM knowledge. Our poor little heroes are going to be starting out all the way over here. They have no idea what terrible things they're going to get into in the lands of Barovia. All right, now Strahd himself. Strahd's location in the castle. We got the artifact, which is right up front. He lurks in the darkness where the morning light once shone. Strahd faces the characters in the chapel. I get a feeling that this playthrough is going to be very entertaining. That's going to be area K15 in chapter 4. Perfect. All right, now that we know that, we can set our cards aside. We are finished with them for a moment. As I mentioned before, our what do you call it? The Tarokka deck is a great little prop. I want to be able to use it throughout my solo roleplay. So if you have any good resources on how to use the Tarokka deck as a solo tool, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to know. For now, I'm just going to play with it, maybe use it for sort of NPC qualities, so we kind of get an idea of who each NPC is based off of it. I might use it for, just overall things, basically. And there are some descriptions of each of the cards in the back of Curse of Strahd, the book, that kind of tell you different things. So I might use that description to guide a scene. We'll see how it plays out. Now, let's see what kind of problems our heroes get into. Here we go. I'm going to move this to the side. I'm actually playing Curse of Strahd with my main group currently, and we're coming to the end game, and I wanted to see how this would play out solo. So it is an entertaining campaign. If you have the opportunity to play it, I recommend it. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to discuss at all before we get started? I think the only thing that I want to say going forward is that I have essentially 4 goals to playing Curse of Strahd this fashion. One, I want to play as analog as possible. I work in the tech industry. I like getting away from computer screens. So if anybody is wondering why I don't play this on the computer screen, that's why. I really like the roar of the paper and the smell of the ink, basically, as I play through these things. I really think that some things in life should be analog, away from the computer. Obviously, you guys are enjoying this on the computer, which is totally fine. But if you ever have the opportunity to unplug, I strongly recommend. So that's goal 1, playing this as analog as possible with real dice and books and paper and pen. Get really nitty gritty. Number 2, I want to delve deeper into role-playing aspects of solo play, and I want to practice these role-playing elements to get better as a dungeon master. I want to kind of understand where each of the NPCs are coming from. I want to give them goals, futures, pasts. Here in the basement, we're not super concerned with a lot of fine detail. but we just want a little bit of detail to give us a bit of flavor for each character that we're encountering. And in my dungeon mastering with my main group, I want to be the best dungeon master I can. And so that's kind of what led me to goal number 2. I want to be a good dungeon master. I want to engage my players with good NPCs that are interesting, that they want to talk to. And so that is goal number 2 to delve into. Number 3, I want to see how Shadowdark, and I mentioned this previously, Solodark, handle a long-form campaign. I want to see where it breaks, how it breaks, if it breaks. I'm a pretty big believer that you can make any system do pretty much anything you want it to do. It's just how much work you want to put into it. I want to see where Shadowdark struggles with this sort of campaign that's kind of a little bit more of a hex crawl roleplay type game versus a dungeon crawl. So I want to see how that handles it. And I mentioned previously with Solodark, it's a simpler solo rule set, and I want to see where that breaks as I'm playing this game. And then that leads me to the 4th. I want to try giving my characters a little bit different voices. I'm not like your voice actor, buddy that gets really hardcore into things. I think it would be interesting to attempt. So apologies if it goes bad, but you can't get good at something without practicing that something. So I very much want to give my players a good experience at the table by giving them good NPCs, good characters to interact with, and in so doing, I would really like to practice kind of different voices, different viewpoints, and try to create something a little bit more memorable than what I do on my own, basically. So we're just stretching ourselves just a little bit, see how things play out. If it's very terrible, then, well, hopefully I get better by the end of this campaign, and I apologize to your ears in advance. So thank you for your understanding. And that covers the goals that I have for this game. And I do have those recorded in my digital notebook. So, if when it becomes available, I will post that link somewhere and share that so that you guys can all take a look at it if you would like. And comment down in the comments as I'm playing this whole campaign. Let me know what you think about voices that I use, that sort of thing. And we'll see how it goes. Sometimes those comments might be less than flattering, but here we are, trying to do things, trying to stretch ourselves, trying to do the best we can to improve our skill sets. That's what matters. Some people will say unkind things to you. Listen to it with a grain of salt, because sometimes they are correct. Obviously, if somebody comments, I'm a bad voice actor in this situation, I can look at it objectively and say, I know I'm a bad voice actor because this is episode 1 of me trying voices. So, let's begin. Move a couple of things here. We go ahead and move the Tarokka deck off to my different table over here. Clear up a couple of things. I'm gonna open up my Shadowdark DM screen. Set it in the back. You might not be able to see this on the video, but I just want it available so that I can see it. Kind of set this off to one side. Is off. All right, I think that just about does it. We will be using the creeping fog scenario for our heroes. They've been off adventuring. They're a little bit tired, a little bit dirty. They are going to go ahead and be swept up by the fog. Give me a moment to grab a drink of water. All right, I am back. Now, one more thing. I apologize. In Shadowdark, you can travel 2 6-mile hexes per day. Now, our Barovia map is a little bit different. So you can actually travel each hex on here, and you won't be able to see the hexes too well, but each hex is a 1/4 mile. So they will be able to do significantly more. They can go 12 miles per day. And if we multiply that by 4, because there's 4 hexes in a mile here, let's see, 12 times 4 is going to be 48. So we can actually go 48 hexes in a single day out here. Go ahead and check my math. Let me know if I did it wrong. But this is the number we'll go with. I'll double check it as we go. But that's where we're... All right. So, as our heroes, they'd come out of the woods. The mist is thick around them. They come out of the woods onto a path. The woods are quiet this night, and the air grows chill. Their fire sputters as a low mist gathers around the edges of their camp, growing closer as the night wears on. By morning, the fog hangs thick in the air, turning the trees around you into gray ghosts. Then they notice that the trees are not the same as the ones that surrounded them the night before. Looking about them, Sidaros is the most intelligent one, I believe. Better fact check that, just because he's a wizard. All right, yeah. Sidaros looks around the camp, and he says something's wrong. And he looks around, and the rest of the party looks around as they gather their equipment to continue their journey. And Astrid says, "Did we take a wrong turn?" Dendor grumbles, "I don't think so. I don't see how we could take a turn while we were sleeping. Perhaps kidnapped." And Marina says, "No, I'm certain that I would have noticed something." And she checks her weapon, checks her longsword, and prepares for the day. "Well, there's nothing for it," Dendor says. And Sidaros says, "Let's see if we can find a road." And they begin their journey into the woods a little bit, and eventually find the path. They find a road. Go ahead. This over. Let's see. There's a couple other... here. Alright, so they travel through the woods a little bit. The ground is moist. And eventually they come out onto this road on the very edge of your screen here. Right hand side of your screen. Black pools of water stand like dark mirrors in and around the muddy roadway. Giant trees loom on both sides of the road, their branches clawing at the mists. Astrid shivers, and Dendor looks around and grumbles, "This path does not look overly friendly." Sidaros considers both sides. He looks down the east side, and he looks down the west side. And he says, which direction should we go? I believe when we were in the mountains, to the west would be more toward this, the Rularn, our metropolis that we came from. Marina nods. I think that's probably best, Marina said. And the group begins their travel westward. Now, eventually, just a few minutes down the road, they kind of are splashing along these what do you say? Kind of splashing along this muddy roadway, and eventually they come to the gates of Barovia. These large, massive gates. The fog spills out of the forest to swallow up the road behind them. Ahead, jutting from the impenetrable woods on both sides of the road, are high stone buttresses looming gray in the fog. Huge iron gates hang on the stonework. Dew clings with cold tenacity to the rusted bars. Two headless statues of armed guardians flank the gate, their heads now lying among the weeds at their feet. They greet you only with silence. Our party stops and considers them for a moment. Dendor, pulling out his favorite phrase, "There seems to be nothing for it. We'll have to continue onward." And Sidaros nods and says, "The good thing is, this appears to be signs of civilization. No one's just putting a gate across the road for no reason. Certainly beyond it lies some sort of village or something." Marina checks her sword, seemingly for the 100th time as they've been going along this road. And she looks behind them nervously. The fog is just draped across the woods. She says, "It would be easy to get lost in this land, I think. I wonder when this fog lifts. Can't even tell what time of day it is, to be honest," as she looks at the sky. Astrid squeezes a little bit closer to the group. She's the smallest. She's a very good priestess, but she's still a little bit concerned. And she goes ahead and takes a moment to light a torch, I think. So we'll pull out everyone's favorite torch timer, and we'll set it to 1. Well, Sidaros looks back at the gates, examines them. I can't tell what made the heads fall at all, but let's go investigate a little bit and see if we can discern who lives beyond these things. And they go forward toward the gates, and the gates swing open as they approach, screeching as the hinges move. Slowly, just a horrible metal on metal sound as they approach the gate. They look around. Astrid says, "Some sort of magic, perhaps?" Sidaros does have detect magic. Sidaros says, "Give me 1 moment." And he will cast his detect magic spell. That is a level 1, so he needs to roll 11 or higher. Spellcasting is at a +2. He got a 7. +2 is 9. His spell fails. And we're going to save our... Actually, let's go ahead and spend a luck token. We're starting with the luck tokens out of Solodark. Let's go ahead and spend it. A 4. Alright, so his spell fails. I'm not certain if it's nerves or this land, but my detect magic spell is not working. I'm going to have to take a rest and restudy it. Hopefully we can find a place to rest, Astrid says. The group moves past the gates, all four of them looking up at them with some trepidation as they make their way through. And as they pass, the gates screech again as they close behind them. All four kind of turn to look at it, and the gates just close with a faint, deep groan of a boom. The mist kind of swirls away from it a minute before it backfills against the wood again. Well, that's ominous, Dendor says. Deep, gravelly voice. Ladara says, we better keep marching along, I suppose. 3, 4, 9, 10 hexes or so-ish to get down to this point. And I really should have a marker to show you guys where they're at. I'll have one next time for you. But as they continue down, the towering trees, the tops lost in the heavy gray mist, blocks out all but a death gray light. The tree trunks are unnaturally close together, and the woods have a silence of a forgotten grave, yet exude a feeling of an unvoiced scream. And as they make their way on foot, splashing along in the mud, sometimes avoiding these deeper puddles, they get the faint smell of death on the air. Now, let's see here. Let's take a look. I am going to... This is kind of out of game. Sorry to break the narrative for you guys. I'm trying to decide how to move forward. I think right here, I'm just going to take a brief pause for the recording, essentially. And I'm going to do a little bit of an outro for you guys that are watching. We're still going to play for a little bit longer, but just want to do a brief outro for the videos that are going on YouTube, and then we'll restart again and continue on with that smell of death. So, everybody who's made it this far, my YouTube friends out there, my video friends out there, please go ahead and like, comment down below. Let me know how you're thinking about it so far. Please follow or subscribe if you wouldn't mind. And we'll see you next time.